Hey, welcome to Life in the Leadership Lane. I'm your host, Bruce Waller, where I get to talk to leaders that are making a difference in the workplace and in our communities. What did they do to get started and what are they doing to stay there? And here we are, end of October, season 3, and I have a special guest for you today. I'm getting to talk to Heidi Powell. Heidi Powell is the Talent Acquisition Operations Manager at McLane Companies, and she's the 2022 TexasSHRM Volunteer Leader of the Year. And we're going to recap the HRSouthwest Conference on this podcast. And Heidi, I'm so excited to have you on the show. How you doing?
Oh my goodness, Bruce, I'm so excited to be here. I'm doing fantastic. I am excited to be on your show. I've watched it myself quite a few times and just really loved all of the leaders that you have had on your show. And I'm doing really great. I'm loving the fall weather in Texas, the fake fall.
Right. The brief fall. I love that. I'm so excited. We spent a lot of time in Fort Worth over the last week. We were in the TexasSHRM state meeting together. We spent the next 3 days at the HR Southwest Conference. And that's what we're going to do today is we're going to bring you some of those conference highlights and share some of our takeaways, some of the educational sessions, and then what it means to be a volunteer leader of the year. But first, to get started, Heidi, I would love for you, for those who don't know McLane Company, would you share a brief highlight of McLane and how do you serve your customers?
Absolutely. So McLane Company is one of the largest supply chain service leaders in the United States. We actually provide grocery and food service solutions for convenience stores, mass merchants, even drugstores, and also chain restaurants. Very excited to serve our customers and just continue getting, the goods and services out to our clients.
And then I know you also volunteer for Central Texas SHRM, and we're going to talk about your role in Central Texas SHRM as well. But I want to kick it off right here with the Heidi Powell story. Where did you grow up and how in the world did you get into HR and talent acquisition?
So I grew up in Rockdale, Texas, not very far from actually our very first McLane grocery store in Cameron, Texas. So I grew up in Rockdale, home of the Fighting Tigers. That's spent the first 18 years of my life there. Actually graduate of Mary Hardin Baylor in Belton. I started my career in California. I actually lived in Southern California for 4 years. My degree is in psychology and sociology. And I worked at a children's home where I was a crisis intervention counselor. Wow. I moved back to Texas in 2002 and have lived in this area ever since. Started out in HR in recruiting at Target stores in 2004 and have just really just grown to love talent acquisition, recruiting, being an HR business partner to both candidates and my peers in the organization. So just a fantastic match for me because, a degree in psychology and sociology is excellent basis and foundation for working with people and helping individuals to find jobs.
I love that. I remember taking psychology in college and I never really did link that. I didn't get connect that, but I've talked to a lot of people that are in HR that just immediately just found that link to helping people. But you said something I want to real quick. I want to dive into this because you said you love talent acquisition. What is it that you love about that? Because when you find joy, that's what everybody's going for in a career. What is it about talent acquisition that you love so much?
Well, first of all, I love telling people about our organization, McLane Company. I am so proud to work for McLane Company. I'm proud of what we stand for in our communities. But connecting someone who is looking for their next career opportunity to an amazing company and an amazing role within the organization to me is just, it gives me energy. You ask a lot about where do I get my energy from or where do we get our energy from, but that really jazzes me up to connect an amazing person who has great skills and is just a great fit for our organization. So that's really exciting for me.
One of the things I do like to talk about is purpose, and I use the term find your lane. I would like to ask you this: when was it that you found your lane? I mean, obviously you went to work at Target. Here you are today, years later at McLane. You love what you do. Was there a moment, or were there moments when you just said, "Hey, I just love what I do"?
Well, I believe there's been several moments for me. Just when I have someone follow back up with me, when they have been in a position for 90 days, 6 months, a year or more, and tell me how much they appreciate that I gave them the opportunity, that I, saw that talent in them, saw the passion and the energy in them, and helped them to help guide them to the right position. That's when I know, and that's when I knew, that I was really where I needed to be. Because one of my focuses is to really help others see what their potential is if they haven't identified that, and call that out. And I think, in my past, I have had several influential leaders from an early age who have called out great things within me that I did not see in myself. And so when I have the opportunity to reverse that and share that and do that for somebody else, it really taps into my joy, and I find joy and energy in that. And every single day I really strive to do that for others. My goal is that as I come in contact with anyone, I really want to just bring joy, give them light. And in turn, I get that back. And I'm not even necessarily looking for that, but that just comes back to me. And so I'm just really, really thankful for that. And if I can bring a bright spot in somebody else's day, that really brings me joy.
I got to tell you, if you're listening right now, you need to, if you're driving, you need to pull over, but you need to make sure you get your pen out, you got your journal out, take notes. I mean, I've written down joy 3 times already. And I love who you are, not just what you do, but who you've become. And that gives me joy too. Hey, you mentioned mentors. I always like to ask, have there been people that have helped you get to where you are today? And if there have, like, what were a couple of things that they did that helped you as a mentor?
For me, I can tell you at a very early age, when I was 18 years old, I actually worked at Mr. Gatti's in Rockdale for Mike and Ann Glenn. They were owner operators there. They actually are still in the Mr. Gatti's business. They own the Mr. Gatti's, the Gatti land in Taylor, Texas. And as an 18-year-old graduate, they gave me responsibilities in their business. I was a shift leader. They gave me responsibilities. There were times when they went on vacation and actually left me in charge of their business, right? And so they recognized something in me at an early age, and I can tell you right now that I was not the best leader at that time. I was more of we've got to get this done, and, had a list of things to do. I wasn't as much of an influencer as I am now, so that was early. But I can tell you that Mike and Ian, they are still dear friends to me now. And they just the fact that they, entrusted me with their business, saw me as a leader, saw me as somebody that they really felt like, had what it took to run their business at an early age. And then, of course, all throughout my career, at Target, I had many leaders that really just sowed time into my career, helped to influence me. And then, of course, in every one of my companies, I worked with Spherion Staffing for a period of time. And, that was an amazing opportunity for me. It was a small business, large company, but small business, local businesses. and the owners, Vicki Kuhn and Sol Melton, really gave me the opportunity to manage the divisions, the offices that I was responsible for as if it were my own. They trusted me to make decisions. And of course, that was huge for me. And then now at McLane and working, with my boss, Barry Taft, and, what he has done to help support me, to provide me with the tools, the resources, the opportunities here, to push me to be a stronger leader, to think, bigger and better, and, from a scope standpoint, and challenging me to continue to grow. It's amazing. And I feel so fortunate that I have had the opportunities and continue to have the opportunity that I do now.
This is fantastic. So I wrote down 3 words as you shared those 3 different mentors. The first word I wrote down was belief. I just love how you talked about that. The second word I wrote down was trust. Gave you trust, trusted you. And the third word I wrote down was equip. Gave you the resources, the tools to be who you need to be to help drive the organizational mission, values and goals and everything that goes along with that. I love that. And, I'm sure as a mentor, you're doing the same for other people. And that is absolutely fantastic. Hey, I want to talk about leadership here. I want to talk about the HR Southwest Conference. I mean, what a week that was. And let's just start here. Like, what did you think about the conference?
I will tell you, Bruce, it was fantastic. So this was the first HR Southwest Conference that I have ever been to. And I cannot believe that because, oh my goodness, first of all, it's 2 hours from me, a 2-hour drive, right? But the amount of amazing content, the learning, the networking with so many amazing professionals from, local companies in Texas, and then, the opportunity to work so closely with the TexasSHRM leadership, the director, yourself, Roseanne Garza, Brian Hayes, Art, Gloria. I mean, just so many amazing individuals. And I met so many that on a more personal level, we had that time to really just kind of marinate on all the information that we were learning, but then also to really just work together as an amazing professional HR group. I mean, one of my favorite speakers at the conference was Dee Maddox, and just her, I sat in on one of her presentations, and, her philosophy on, ensuring that we're having conversations with our teammates, our employees on a regular basis, and ensuring that we're, taking time to really share with them, what our expectations are on an ongoing basis. She really focuses on not waiting for a PIP, not waiting for, for that, which I have always, I've felt that way, and I've utilized, that. And I really try to incorporate that in my daily, my leadership style, but just to hear that reinforced from her and just what she shared.
I'll tell you, that's one of the things I like about that too, is that as you share that, basically what you're also saying is it really validates. It helps validate. I like to, this is what I believe. This is the direction I've been going. This is what I've been doing. Yes. And then you hear from someone like Dee, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's just comforting to know, hey, I'm on the right path, right?
Yes. And to connect that and to have that, just kind of sink in even further. Yeah.
Well, let's do this. Let's just kind of let's roll through it. We're going to give a lot of shout outs here. I've got a lot of names I've written down, but how about okay. So we go to the first event. The first event is like a social, and it's a chance for everybody to come before the conference and just kind of like a meet and greet. What did you think about that?
That is just a wonderful time for us to come together and really to put names with faces. You know, when you're working with Texas SHRM and your local SHRM chapters, we see and we hear about, you know, different individuals across Texas. But, you know, to be able to talk to Holly Novak in person, you know, to be able to meet Jerry George, you know, to talk with, you know, all those wonderful folks and just to that networking, you know, Dina Culpepper, Texas SHRM. I call her the queen of Texas SHRM.
I love that. I love that. She's
She
definitely the queen. Yes.
Keeps us all together, headed in the right direction. Yeah. And just being able to really connect with those local, like the Texas local leadership and SHRM is just fantastic.
You know, and I was actually thinking about that. And of course, just kind of kick it off here. Shirley Johnson, the conference director this year, Tom Barton, conference director elect. And I was thinking about, so we go the first night of the conference after the Texas SHRM meetings, the first night of the conference, we meet some different people. We go, and then we all go have dinner. And we meet some people, and I always talk about the importance of building relationships, and that's a lot of times that starts outside the workplace. It gives you a chance to really learn about people, talk about different things that are going on. A couple of people that I enjoyed that first night also is Mari Perez. And Tom, they all went to dinner together. The conference theme this year was learn, grow, and connect. And I think that at the end of the day, that's the outcome they're hoping to deliver for people. Hey, we're here to hold a conference because we want people to learn, we want people to grow, and we want people to connect. And I think they did a wonderful job. And of course, you know, our Texas SHRM leaders, Roseanne Garza and Dustin Pascal. Hey, what'd you think about the opening? You got Tony Bridwell as the MC. How'd you think he did?
Man, he is dynamic. He is just so exciting. He, you know, jazzed us all up, got us excited for Simon T. Bailey to come on and come out and just, you know, connect with us. And I mean, the energy that the two of them brought to that whole event, that general opening session, was just so exciting. And, you know, I will tell you, I was just so moved by, you know, Simon T. Bailey's experience and his sharing about what his original supervisor did for him as far as how he motivated him, how he connected with him, he believed in him, he trusted him, he empowered him to, you know, to just stick with what he really felt like was his calling. And just the way he was so moved in that segment where he was talking about his supervisor, and then his supervisor raised his hand. He didn't even know he was in the crowd, you know. Oh my gosh, like tears. I mean, I think for me, it just reminded me and reinforced how you just never know the influence that you have on someone when you're talking with them, when you're speaking with them, when you're sowing your time, your talent. I even think that, you know, that transfers over to, you know, volunteering, you know, in your local chapter as an HR professional, your local SHRM chapter. You know, we talk a little bit about that, and I know you touched on that a little bit, but, you know, just, you just don't know the power of influence, the power of connection.
Yeah, no. And what I remember about Simon T. Bailey is, I can't get this phrase out of my head. Oh, brilliant one. Yes, and so your boss was sitting right next to me. And so we had a little exercise, and I kept, oh, brilliant one. That was fantastic. Hey, I want to talk about the Volunteer Leader of the Year. So right after that, you received the award for the Texas SHRM Volunteer Leader of the Year, a special award given out to people really that are making a difference in the Texas SHRM community. What was that like for you? What does that mean for you to be the Leader of the Year?
It's hard for me to put into words what it means to me. You know, when Roseanne Garza called me and told me that I had been nominated, I was honored. But then when she told me that I was selected, I actually told her that I said, are you sure you have the right person on the phone? Because I feel like that there are so many amazing SHRM volunteer leaders across Texas, and across the United States, but, obviously this was recognized for Texas, but I work alongside of so many amazing volunteer leaders. It was hard for me to really put it in words and wrap my mind around it, because even though I'm a very outgoing person, it's hard for me to be the one being recognized, so I had to work through that. But I will tell you, to me, it's a representation, and it's an honor to represent the state of Texas and to represent my own chapter, because, I always joke, that we sow blood, sweat, and tears at times in a chapter leader position, because you think about like what we've accomplished through COVID, and, we kept, so many all chapters across Texas kept going and kept pushing and kept connecting and, reaching out and helping one another. And there were tears, there were times when we were tears, because we were trying to figure it all out. And we were, not only do we have our own, careers, but we're also trying to balance, keeping the chapter alive and keeping growing. And we all have a passion. But I think for me, what that really signified for me was just, it reinforced that I want to continue to volunteer. I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to, I was energized, because all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, like now I've got to, I've got to make sure that I'm staying up where I need to be, from a chapter
no going
leader,
back, no going back,
a true honor, honestly.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. I was just pulling up the side here. I was just going to read, 2018. You're in good company here. Pamela Bratton was the volunteer leader of the year. And then Alejandra Juarez, she's from Lower Valley SHRM chapter. And then Angela Shaw. And then this guy, Bruce Waller, in 2021. Wow. I got to tell you, hey, let me ask you this real quick. I want to touch on this too. And that is, I'm sitting here watching you get the award, and I'm sitting next to your boss. What did that mean for your boss to be there?
That meant, I'm going to try not to get teary, right? But that just spoke really, really highly to me, deeply to me, honestly. When I first told him about it, he said, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And, he was so proud of me and told me how proud he was. And then the next thing he told me, didn't even skip a beat, and said, well, I want to be there. So I need you to figure out how to make that happen. He said, I just want to be there for that time period to see you get your award, and then I'll go away. But anyway, so of course, Roseanne Garza and Dina Culpepper, they, were able to help make that happen. And the Texas SHRM Committee, Shirley Johnson and team. And so I'm so thankful for that. But I think for myself, it just really helped to solidify that I really am at the right place, in my career, for my boss to want to be part of that and to support me, and, to continue to just support me in my career and in volunteering. Because really and truly, we as volunteer leaders, if we don't have the support of of the companies and our bosses, and they don't see the value in what we do with our local chapters, then we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So that is hugely important. And I know he has always been a fan of the local, Syntax SHRM chapter, as well as Texas SHRM and SHRM as a whole. So really appreciate him so much.
That's fantastic. And shout out to Mari and everybody at Syntax for nominating you. And just, man, what an exciting moment. I call those mile markers, just moments in time that you'll always remember. Hey, I want to ask you, as we go through the day, I saw a lot of students there, and Texas State was representing. They always have a great turnout. What do you think about it when you see students at the conference?
Well, I will tell you, so it was so fun, that group. So I connected with them, I think, the first time on the dance floor. And they're just so passionate and so excited about what they're doing. And I will tell you, so that evening when I connected with them, I showed them my badge and I said, make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn. Do you know that I had no less than 10 invites from that whole group on LinkedIn? They're ready, they're passionate, they're excited. And just, the energy that group brings to me is just exciting, because we need that energy. We need that, new vision and fresh vibe and vision in the workforce, and, figuring out how to, kind of marry the different generations in the workforce is just so important, so
yeah,
it was really cool.
I agree. No, I agree. Hey, and then of course, big marketplace, a chance for you to really meet with the people that are providing the services for the HR community. What'd you think about the marketplace?
That was just so great to be able to connect with so many different vendors, and in that safe space is what I like to call it, because, they're there for us. They're giving us, all of the attendees, wonderful swag. We all love swag, and we enjoy that. But just an opportunity for us to learn more about their products, their services. And it's just a great time, because, they're professionals as well. So, professionals connecting with professionals and just having that opportunity. So I felt like that we had an amazing group of vendors. We had an amazing group of, services and products that we could review. And that was really cool. So the HR Southwest Conference Committee did a great job of bringing in a variety.
Yeah, I thought so too. And they always big popular with the puppies.
Oh my goodness. Those puppies were so cute. The St.
The
Bernards
puppies are the most popular
the
attraction on the floor. I love that. And then, so we ended with the social that night. And then Tuesday had some great sessions. Some of the sessions I wrote down, I really enjoyed Sheldon and Jen Northrop. They did one on executive presence. I always enjoy those. I always learn something. Dustin Pascal, he's our state director-elect, and he did a fantastic job on litigious employees. And then of course, Mike Coffey, he's always a fan favorite. And I love his session because he talked about the art of saying no. I need to do more of that. And then,
and I attended a great one by Bruce Waller, Laugh in the Leadership Lane, was fantastic.
Thank you.
I always enjoy attending your session as well. I always learn something new. There's no traffic in the leadership lane. It's just like, just keep on keeping on.
I love that. There's one session I didn't get to attend, but I have heard so many positives. Julie Birch, she talked about some 10 things to not do when you're speaking. And I had a couple of people that were in my session. They said, we were watching to see if you did any of those things. And so it was so great. And then of course, Tuesday night, we ended with the Diamonds and Denim event.
Yes.
What'd you think the way they ended the celebration?
You know what? It was a fantastic way to end the celebration. A little dancing on the dance floor. We had some great food, great networking, just a time to kind of just relax, relax and kick back and just enjoy one another and all come together and just celebrate. So that was a lot of fun.
Well, shout out to Dallas HR, all the staff and all the volunteers that put on that conference. It was absolutely fantastic. And then I wanted to touch on your volunteer leadership at Central Texas. You're the current president. Talk a little bit about that and what that means to you and Central Texas.
Well, I can tell you that group. So I've actually been part of the SHRM local chapter since really 2012. I started attending meetings and, was brought in by, my boss. And really that was an excellent way right away for me to make connections with local HR professionals in the area. Really just to develop those, partnerships. I mean, Amy Hayes, who is our current communications director, she's been on the board since I was attending since I began attending. Meeting individuals such as, Julie Escamilla, who is our upcoming president for 2023. She is an amazing educator. She is actually just amazing. I think she's going to do an amazing job as president. Mari Perez, who has been an excellent resource for our chapter. She actually lined up all of our speakers before we even stepped into 2021 or 2022. So she is just fantastic. April Metcalf, who actually has been on the board for many, many years. She's just been a huge resource. That group, those are individuals, including, when I think about Jody Askins and just her participation, several individuals who have year over year been board members and just continue on. Amanda Eads with our social media team. And then of course, our other board members are just, we're a resource group that we can reach out to. If I have, run into something, a weird situation, I can run something by another HR professional and just, kind of get some insight. But just the depth, the amount of time that each of those board members, we have a total of 12, has invested year over year. And just to have that partnership, it's just been so amazing. A chapter cannot survive without the volunteer leaders and, the board members and those individuals who continue to, grow. We actually had a name change for our chapter this past year, and we've been working on it. We started that in COVID, and, coming out of that, we actually were able to bring that across the finish line. And, we were able to implement a new website and a new, system that powers our website with the tools that we use. And our conference this past year, every April, we have a local HR conference in April. It just happens to fall in April. And we all, 12 of us, had to pull together to work together to make that happen. It was our largest conference year to date, or not year to date, but to date. And largest amount of attendees, largest amount of participants and vendors, speakers. Oh my goodness, Bruce Waller was one of those as well. So
I had so much fun.
Amazing.
I had so much fun.
Working together to make that happen and to make an impact in the HR professionals across the community and across the county. So
I love how you said working together, and that's what it takes. Hey, I want to ask you a question that I just thought about we've given a lot of shout outs. We've talked about meeting a lot of people. And I'm sure there's some listeners right now who are thinking, well, I've met a lot of people too, but what's the art or the skill or the strategy of staying connected with people? What have you done? Do you have any tips for the listeners that maybe they met a lot of people, they connected on LinkedIn? Okay, now what?
Well, I can tell you, connecting with people on various platforms, I think, is always a really good option. So, on LinkedIn, you connect on LinkedIn, maybe another social media, if, you're both open to that or whatnot, that's helpful. Listening and exchanging ideas. One of the things that always helps me is, to make sure that if, I try to engage on LinkedIn as much as possible. So if I see, that, somebody on my LinkedIn, one of my LinkedIn connections has a work anniversary, a celebratory moment, or, post something, I always try to make sure that I'm, commenting and sharing that out, because to me, that's just how we continue to build up our network and continue to work together. Exchanging email addresses. I mean, even after the conference, one of the individuals that I met and connected with sent me a list of speakers that, I could possibly use for my local chapter. And so then I forwarded that on, and then we're going to forward, and exchange speaker ideas across. And so what that does is that, that gets us more exposure to other content, other speakers across the state of Texas. Just being able to pull, we have so many resources within our network. It is amazing to me. If you find yourself looking for another job, reach out to somebody in your network. If you know of somebody that's looking for a job, refer them over to somebody, send them a resume. I mean, because you just never know how that power of connection is going to make an influence for not only you, but somebody else that you come across.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Oh my goodness. I have loved this. I do have one more thing I want to talk about before we go move on from this. And that is we graduated 20 leaders at the Texas SHRM state meeting this year. We started a leadership development program. And for me and all of the coaches and all the people on the design team, it was just incredibly heartfelt to see that happen and look forward to continuing watching that happen. You were part of that program in 2022, 6 modules, just learning more about leadership, collaborating with leaders across the state of Texas. And now you have an award that says leaders, the first class. What was that like completing that program? Just some thoughts around the leaders program.
I think the Leaders Program was and is, and I think it will continue to be an opportunity for leaders across the state of Texas to come together and to work together, share ideas, network, challenge each other. I mean, first of all, the content that we received, was fantastic. That whole design group that came together, the topics that we covered are so pertinent to what we're doing now, what we're doing now in the current marketplace, the workforce, with the workforce, really helped to prepare, to educate us, to bring us up to speed, and to challenge us in our leadership development. Sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in the day-to-day within our organizations and forget about developing ourselves. We spend so much time and we pour so much time into other people, our teams, our companies, our friends, our family. It's very easy to forget about our development and, continuing to challenge ourselves. So I would just say that, for those who have the opportunity in 2023 to connect with the Leader Program, I would say, just really take the time to dig in and challenge yourself to really utilize the material, to really, work it into your schedule, and understand also too that it can be very flexible. You may not be able to complete a session, but you can go back and watch the session and you can contribute and whatnot. And for me, it was really cool. I got to connect with Veronica and Dorothy and Samantha from my leader group. And I just loved them. Like, even though, we hadn't seen each other since January, we got to see each other, in October at the TexasSHRM chapter meeting. And it's just so fun just to cross that, the stage and receive our award together. So, just so much information and so much wonderful networking.
I love that. I have a sign on my wall that says, "Find the joy in the journey."
Yeah.
And that's the joy, right? When you're able to do life with others and connect with others on it's just a different level. It's just fantastic. And I'm so proud of you. I appreciate you being part of that program and everybody that graduated and then just kind of end up here. Melissa Major, she finished the conference this year with the 7 inclusive leaders and phenomenal. Just a wonderful, wonderful conference. And I'm glad we got the opportunity to come and just kind of recap some of the things. So people that were at the conference, it just it reminded them of all the amazing things that happened. And some of those that didn't get to attend, maybe it inspired them to attend in 2023. And so I appreciate you jumping on and sharing that. I do want to ask you, and I like to ask my guests on the show, if they've ever received any advice that was just so good, they find themselves sharing with others. Maybe it was early in your, when you were that young 18-year-old working at Mr. Getty's, or maybe when you were in staffing, or maybe currently now, or maybe something you got at the conference. Any advice that you would like to share that might help our listeners?
I think for myself is, really being reminded that, just keep going, keep moving. Sometimes I think it's really easy for us to get caught and focused, like maybe we have a brain block on an idea or concept or whatnot, or, we just get so bogged down with the weight of the world sometimes, and what we have going on in our careers. But, someone early on in my career shared with me that, as long as you keep moving, you're going to work through it. You're going to be able to figure it out. Keep asking questions, keep at it. And, maybe you put it down and you have to come back to it. But, and also too, to have grace and forgiveness for yourself and other people. We're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And if we expect ourselves and others to be, then we really just set ourselves up for a loss, a letdown, so having grace for ourselves and other people allows us the space to be creative, to make mistakes, but then also to learn and just to keep moving forward.
Well, as a mover, I like that term, keep moving. I love that. But what really caused me to pause here, I just want to, is that when you talk about giving yourself grace and forgiveness, I think we all need to really I think we need to write that down and just like put that front and center and just remind ourselves that, what, every day is not going to be the perfect day. There's going to be tough days. Absolutely. But we can give ourselves grace and forgiveness. So I appreciate you sharing. Oh my goodness. I told you when we got on here, I said the time is going to absolutely fly, and it has. So now we're going to shift over to it's time to accelerate. And one of the questions I always like to ask, would you rather read a book or would you rather listen to a podcast? And if what you got a favorite?
So I love to read books, but podcasts are so easy too. I listen to podcasts every morning. As I'm getting ready in the morning, or if I am just have a moment that I need a little bit of insight. I mean, it varies, from educational to spiritual to, focused on, meditation and just kind of refocusing. But really it's any of my favorites have everything to do with just becoming better, whatever that is.
I love that. Becoming better. My daughter always talks about the goal isn't to be perfect. It's just to be better. And I love that. That's fantastic. We are coming into November.
Yes,
Thanksgiving, Christmas holidays, a new year. I always like to ask this, especially this time of year, what are you grateful for?
Oh my goodness. I am grateful for everything. I am grateful for perseverance. I'm grateful, for my relationships. I'm grateful for my faith. I'm grateful that I have the the support and the network of people that I can lean on, that I can depend on. And I'm excited about what the future holds. I even in the midst of challenging situations throughout our country, throughout our world, I'm ever hopeful that, we will continue to evolve as a country, and that we can work through, our differences and be able to just really work together and look at another person as a person and then value every single person that we come in contact with.
I love that. I'm grateful you're on the show today to share that message, because I know there's somebody listening right now that probably needed to hear that and is grateful for hearing that. So thank you. Hey, you've used this word a couple of times. I use this word all the time, and that is energizing. And I do like to ask, like outside of the workplace, what energizes you? Like what really moves you? What do you like to do?
I love to dance. I love to work out. I think anything that can get our blood pumping and moving and just makes us feel better, and I'm so thankful that I have the ability to do those things, and just to keep moving. And so yeah, that really is what energizes me.
Love that. Last question, my favorite question. Heidi, 10 years older. is knocking at your front door and you're going to go answer that door, what's she going to tell you?
Keep growing, keep learning, keep challenging yourself to be better every day. And just keep persevering. No matter what obstacle you come in contact with, there's a way. There is a way, to go over it, around it, through it, under it, whatever we can do to make that happen.
That's a wise 10 years older Heidi. I love that. I love that. I'm so thankful for you coming on the show today. Congratulations as the Texas SHRM Volunteer Leader of the Year. Now, I guarantee there's people listening going, we know why Heidi is the Volunteer Leader of the Year. You represent so well. And for that, I say thank you. Hey, for those that heard you on the podcast today, and they may not know you, but they heard something they connected with and they want to follow you. Is there a way that they can connect with you?
Absolutely. So first of all, I would like to tell you first, thank you so much for having me on today. This is a pleasure. It has been a pleasure I'm so thankful that I got to meet you many moons ago at TexasSHRM and through TexasSHRM, and then also, working together through relocation services. But I just really appreciate what you have done for us as a local chapter. You have spoken at a couple of our events. You were on Zoom, continuing our monthly and speaking to our membership and our attendees on Zoom, and then spoke at our conference last year. But you're just a friend to all HR professionals and business leaders, and we just appreciate you so much. So want to say that.
Thank you for saying that. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. I'm humbled. Thank you.
But to connect with me on LinkedIn, Heidi Renee Powell on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I tweet, but I don't tweet. So
I tweet. I love that. No, you know what? I'll put all of that in the show notes. I'll put the links to the Volunteer Leader of the Year. I'll put the links to Syntex, SHRM, so you can find out more about the organization. Hey, if you're in the area, you probably want to become a member.
Oh yeah, come on.
Get to work with Heidi. And so I'll put all those links in the show. And I appreciate you just coming on, just sharing your wisdom and your perspective. And I just asked you to jump on real quick because I was like, let's do a recap. And I think people are going to get a lot out of this. So for that, I say thank you. I can't wait to share this show.
Well, thank you. I am thrilled and I appreciate you so much.
Thanks, Heidi.
All right. Bye.